Are you happy with your leadership group as it's been voted by the club?
Yeah, clearly, obviously, we support the club vote, and it's a really strong vote by the whole of club. I think that's the really important part. We've involved all parts of our footy club, and the people who have been rewarded with those positions are the ones who have come out on top, and it's a great result.
Did you still have the right of veto if you weren't happy with it?
So could I have what I wanted?
Yeah.
No, I think we got to a stage just that we're experienced as a football club now, and we have to trust the opinions of everyone, not just of the senior coach or the captain or the CEO or the chairman. We trust the whole of club, and that's what we are. We're in it together, and we respect that decision, and it would be wrong of me to try and influence that in any other way.
Ken, fourth year now, is that something that you've consciously looked to do, is to start to empower the players a bit more?
Absolutely, that's exactly what we want, and that's where we think we're at. We think we're at a stage now, and the development of the boys, and particularly Trav, who's now going into his fourth year as captain, that they're at a position now where they know what Port Adelaide is and what Port Adelaide should be, and they have the opportunity to recognise that amongst their peers.
And does that allow you to sit back and, I guess, just look at overall picture stuff a bit more?
Well, I'm deliberately, even before the announcement of the new leadership group, I've deliberately pulled back a little bit in the leadership space with the boys, and I've actually handed the reins over to a point and said, hey boys, your club, your responsibility, act and behave the way you expect Port Adelaide people to behave, and they've been doing a great job.
Why have you done that, Ken?
I think it's just natural growth, Andrew. I think that's exactly what it should be. When the players develop, they've got to be in control of their own destiny, I think, and if they don't understand what that looks like, they'll never get where they want to go. And in my belief, this group know what they want to do.
So do you hand the reins over with specific things, or is it more just generally speaking?
Oh no, it's quite general. It's about what a Port Adelaide player should behave like. Whether it be on the field, off the field, in our community, which we're really strong on, and make sure that they behave the way that they should. And they have to be able to live that and lead that really well if you're going to be in our leadership group.
What does Hamish's elevation to vice captain say about him and his growth as a footballer and person?
It's a really good way of putting it, I reckon. His growth is the key part about that, because we've had two fantastic vice captains, Brad for 3 years and Lobes last year. To elevate yourself above them is a significant advancement, and what Hammer's been able to do, through my time, and particularly through the last 18 months, is amazing as a person, and then secondly as a player. I think there's still some more. Look, I'm sure there's more upside in Hamish as a player still too. So I think the responsibility of the vice captain's role is one that will help Hamish achieve even greater levels on the field.
As a person, how have you seen him grow? What's he different now than he was 2 or 3 years ago?
There's a determination about Hamish that he knows where his team's going and where he wants to take them, and you can just sense that. And his behaviour amongst his younger players on the training track, off the field, is really directional. It's clearly leading, and he's not letting anyone, I don't think, slip through a little crack that might appear. He's making sure he's holding people accountable better than I've ever seen him do. I think he's probably spent my first year or two getting Hamish right himself, and probably that's for his body and his own form and stuff like that, but I think he's now broadened that to, he understands that Hamish or Trav together won't win it. The whole squad of 44 will win it, if that's what's going to happen for us at some stage.
Have you noticed players feed off you getting that extra leash, I suppose, to do those leadership things themselves?
Yeah, I think if you want people to grow, you have to give some room, and there's a risk in that. There's a risk that they might not quite do it exactly the way you want it to do, but if you've hopefully set an example that they've seen and they've witnessed themselves, and they know it works, that they'll grab hold of that and run in the right direction. That doesn't mean there's not a mistake or two that can be made, and I certainly won't get it perfect all the time. As with the leadership group, they won't always get it exactly right, but I think with every bit of experience, and that's the thing I know, with every bit of experience you get better.
You've got making a lot of changes. You're very happy with the effort last week. What are you expecting with all these senior players coming back for tomorrow?
Some genuine Port Adelaide effort. That's what I expect. It's what they expect of each other. It's not. That's what this leadership group's about too. It's about they know what they expect. That makes my job become even easier, I think, and I'm going to trust that they're going to deliver on that.
2 games to go in the NAB. I think Don said yesterday at the Crows, he reckons there's about 5 or 6 spots that are genuinely up for grabs. Are you in a similar position, or is it slightly fewer or more?
Yeah, no, I think that's a reasonable number. I think not many sides don't know who their best 14 or 15 are. If they're in physically fit and they've got some form going, I think they identify themselves pretty easily, and it's the advancement of younger players, the re-establishing themselves as an older player perhaps can be they can be fit for a change. They can, got off injury. All those things influence a little bit of that, and you're not sure where the surprise is. So I think there's always the surprise, and that's like the ladder in a footy season. There's always a surprise somewhere, and I think that's what we expect. We want a surprise. Sam Gray, Brennan Archie, Carl Amon, Youngie, those sort of blokes who popped up at the back end of last year. We want to see that continue, and everyone's talked about some of the other younger blokes this year already. So that will be exciting to see if we get a surprise.
It's only the talent. Have you had any inside information from Jimmy Tuffus ahead of his old side this week?
He certainly knows them. That helps, and we expect that he would help us if we can. But again, the growth of Melbourne over the summer will be interesting to see too, because they're quite a young side and developing quickly with Ruzi and Simon. I'm sure they'll have changed quite a bit of stuff. You spend time worrying about the opposition too much, you don't get your own stuff right. We're probably at that stage of the year where we're worrying seriously about what we're doing, and hopefully we're doing that well.
What about just the two guys that were the vice captains? Were they disappointed to lose that, or did they take it on the chin?
What I think that to their credit, they're not so much took it on the chin, but they were respectful of the replacement. I reckon they said this bloke on my left is a pretty good person to take over in the role. And they've had great experience. Brad's had great experience for 3 years. Loeb's for a year. I think they're more respectful about Hamish's position at the football club now, and don't forget they played part in the boat as well, and I think they knew who was emerging, and that's good if they did.
So Hamish, should we move?
Organise the mics. Emma.
You can go now, mate.
So
Over to you.
Thanks,
Hamish,
mate.
what does it mean to be elevated into such a high role?
Oh, look, it's something that makes me incredibly proud. There's no doubt about that. I guess just to gain the respect and the trust of not only my fellow teammates but also the coaching staff and the senior leaders of the footy club. It's something that I'm very proud about, and I hope to do a great job at this level.
Ken's spoken about the growth for you. What, personally, do you agree with those, and is there anything else that we should know about?
Yeah, I think that we've all progressed pretty significantly over the last couple of years as leaders. All the guys that have been in that group, we've done a lot of work in that space for the last year or two, and certainly it's showing for everyone out on the track and on game day as well. And I think the other thing is just getting some consistency out of training in my body, which has helped me as well. So, there's been pretty much every pre-season other than this one that I've spent a little bit of time on the sidelines, and just those interruptions can affect you in your leadership and your performance as well. So to have a clear run at it this season, this pre-season, has been a great help so far.
And you've drafted to be a midfielder, and pretty much going to be a midfielder full-time this year. Are you excited about that prospect?
Yeah, that was the other thing. I suppose towards the end of last season, Ken and the coaching staff put a great deal of faith in me playing that role as an inside midfielder. It's something I love doing, and I guess hopefully be able to progress my game in that space this season as well.
Hannah, why do you think that the other players and coaching staff have voted for you? Such a vote of confidence in this great position, obviously, as vice captain.
Yeah, I guess I like to follow from Trav's lead in terms of setting really high standards and expectations out on the training track and in the gym. And whenever we've got the chance to get better in any aspect of our games, Trav, myself and the other guys in the leadership group really like to take it to the best possible level that we can, and probably along with that is, as Ken mentioned before, just making sure that we're staying on top of everything out on training, so not letting anything slip through the gaps, making sure that guys are training to a level that we all expect and giving the effort that we expect 100% of the time.
And you're not afraid to speak your mind on those sort of issues clearly?
No, there's probably been points in time when I've let my sort of emotions get the better of me out on the training track. There's been a couple of times where I've probably approached my feedback, particularly to the young guys, in the wrong way. I've given them a bit of a whack when perhaps you should just pull them aside quietly and just have a quick word to them. But as I mentioned, it's just a natural sort of progression and something that we're all trying to develop as leaders.
Hamish, when do you reckon it turned around for you? Because I remember you struggling with injuries early in your career? Was it gradual or was there a bit of a turning point?
Oh, I probably can't pinpoint one exact moment. I think with the addition of Darren Burgess and Kenny to the footy club a few years ago, it's pretty much been since that point in time that I've been able to get a lot of training and games under my belt. So just the general monitoring, I think, of players these days and over the last 3 or 4 years at this football club in particular has probably helped me out a little bit, and I think everyone as a general rule. Yeah.
Any for the skipper?
Yeah, go to Trav.
Yes, bloody oath.
One or two from Rennie.
Race one, number one.
Tips, yeah.
Come on, mate.
Ready to go.
I don't gamble, mate. You know that.
Neither you should.
Don't go broke back on this. I wish I knew. Trav, 4 years now in charge. You must be very proud.
Yeah, I am, and look, it's a great honour to lead this club, and I remember when I first was appointed from Ken and how proud I was, and I'm still the same to this day. It's a great honour to wear the number 1 Guernsey for this club, and I absolutely love the group and the club, and it's an extreme privilege for me to run out leading the boys.
27. I think there's probably a good chance you could be the longest serving power skipper. Would that mean anything too?
I probably haven't even thought of that, to be honest. I mean, for me, it's just about how honoured I am to lead this group, and for however long that is, I'm very privileged. And for right now, I'm excited for the year and to be working closely with Hamish and the rest of the leadership group. I mean, we've got some new guys into the group in Homshire and Westie, and it's going to be exciting to work with those guys and really develop as a leadership group.
How does the thrill of being announced captain change? You know, when you first were announced captain, you might have been very excited or even surprised. But how does that change over the years?
Well, the first time I got announced as captain, I was pretty nervous. I think I spoke about how I was probably a little bit scared to take on the role, and I guess over the last 3 years I've developed, I think, as a leader, and certainly with the help of the leadership group and Ken and past captains as well. But I mean, the honour doesn't change at all. I'm still so proud to be captain of this great club.
Are you a bit louder these days?
A bit louder?
Yeah.
I don't think I've changed too much. I guess I've certainly developed in specific areas as a leader, and I don't think I'm any louder or any quieter than I was before then.
How's the body missed away from the contact part of a lot of pre-season? 100% now?
Yeah, so I had the shoulder up at the end of last season, but 100% fine now, and I was sitting in the coach's box on the weekend. It was pretty tough watching because I was ready to go, but looking forward to this weekend, and I'm sure the other boys who hasn't played yet, looking forward to the game as well.
Had Hamish already been a bit of a sounding board for you in previous seasons?
Yeah, certainly he has, and I guess I look to him a lot as well as a leader. He's been, and his growth we've spoken about in the last couple of years has been outstanding. And if you think Port Adelaide footy, you think Hamish, tough, aggressive, and that's the way he leads. And we've spoken about how he knows where the club, what direction the club wants to go in, what direction we want to go as a group, and he's willing to do anything to help his teammates get in that direction and get on the same page. And that makes my job so much easier, and the rest of the leadership group are exactly the same. And I think we're pretty privileged to be working with each other and be on the same page and really taking this club in the right direction.
Ken, why one vice captain? Sorry. Why one vice captain this year and two previously?
Reasonable question, Andrew. I think it's obvious that the vote showed us that there was an obvious second, and that was Hamish. So we go, well, that's obvious. Whereas the other two boys, as I said, they're outstanding leaders, Brad and Lobes, but they've been line ball probably all the way through, and now the last few years that's been the way they've come out. This year, as I said, the elevation of Hamish is the key part of all. Is he's elevated himself to a position where it's identifiable on its own. And I think that's easy. I've always been one of, if you can and you should, acknowledge your captain, acknowledge your vice captain, and then the rest should happen from there. But when you need a bit of support in that area and you're still developing as a group, I think there's some method some reasonable method in having a couple of people share the load a little bit. To younger captain, now we're at 4-year captain, first time, but in the leadership group now for a significant period of time, ready to do it together on their own. And the key with that, Lobes and Brad don't stop. They're just outstanding leaders of our football club. You know, they will take on their roles. They'll be there supporting this bloke, and making sure that whatever they can do and have done in the past will be at least the very same level. I expect it to be above what their level's been. And that's hopefully what we're doing as a leadership group. We're elevating, and we're growing and growing and growing. We're getting better. When people are not getting worse, we're getting better, and hopefully that movement is consistent and continues that way.
What about Crack on the senior list now?
Yes, yeah, Crack's our nominated rookie who's been able to be nominated and go up and be available for us, albeit he's got a little bit of a hamstring at the moment, but once he's back and fit and available, you know, it's obvious to us that Crack's a pretty talented player, and one that now we have the freedom to select for the whole of the year, but that was always going to be there for us.